Hey VC, David here with a video entry into Norman Mazzy'S 1969 500 subscribers contest. Mazzy, as he likes to be called, is kind of between 500 and 600 subscribers, and to celebrate, he's hosting a contest. The standard rules apply. You have to be subscribed to his channel, you have to submit a video entry, and you have to answer 6 challenges that Mazzy has asked us to answer. The contest runs until August 31st, and he will be giving away 3 prizes. I'll post a link down below to Mazzy's channel with the official rules and the prizes he's giving away. But he's going to host a drawing sometime after the Labor Day weekend, and where he will announce the winners. So, 1969, big year in history. Got a lot of things coming up. We have the 50th anniversary of Woodstock. We just recently celebrated the 50th anniversary of the moonwalk or moon landing with Neil Armstrong. We're getting ready to get a release of Abbey Road, celebrating the 50th anniversary of that. That includes some remastered all the songs have been remastered by George Martin's son, and it'll also include some outtakes from the album. So big year. So some of the questions that Mazzy has asked us to answer kind of do center around 1969. The first challenge was to share an album that you feel that everyone should own. I decided to go with the Beatles Love. Whether you're a casual listener of the Beatles or you're a Beatles fan, I feel like this album has something to offer everybody. I mean, for me as a Beatle fan, I really enjoyed listening to this album and trying to pick out which songs or pieces of songs they combine together to to form the Love version. As a casual listener, you'll recognize most, if not all, the songs that are on this. I've never seen this performed. It's a show out in Vegas. I've never been to Vegas. I really had no desire to go to Vegas, but if I were to find myself in Vegas someday, this would be a show that I would definitely try to check out while I'm there. The Beatles Love. Next was to share an album to set the mood. What mood, you may be asking? Well, a lot of us probably jumped to the conclusion that Norman was talking about the mood, with your spouse or partner. But for me, I'm going to go with I'm in a foul balls kind of mood, and you better just stay on my path because I'm pissed off. So when I'm in that kind of mood, I like to listen to Marilyn Manson, 9 Inch Nails, Nirvana, just something with a lot of angst in the vocals. So definitely this kind of music when I'm in a pissed off mood, which isn't very often. I'm pretty laid back. All right, next was to share an album that you feel has beautiful cover art or has nice packaging. I've shared another album by this band and this artist in a contest entry for Nauman. But this is the Rival Sons, their album Hollow Bones, and the artist that did the artwork for this cover, his name is Martin Whitfuth. I just really like, the wolf and the ferocity that it kind of shows. Then you have, these pastel colors that are kind of just soft. So they kind of are, I don't know, the opposite of what you would think of as ferocious and mean. I don't know, maybe I'm just being too analytical, but anyways, this is the Rival Sons, Hollow Bones, Fantastic album if you're not familiar with this band. Challenge number 4 was to share an artist that you have the entire catalog, or one that you're working on getting the entire catalog. And that for me is the Black Rebel Motorcycle Club. I have most, if not all, their albums. I had the opportunity to see them live in 2016 at Bogart's in Cincinnati. Probably my favorite show I've ever been to. Bogart's is a small club. It was standing room only, so I mean I was 6 feet from the stage. There were 3 acts that performed. There was Deep Valley, a female duo out of California. Death from Above 1979, which is a duo out of Canada, I think Toronto. And then of course BRMC, which is a trio out of I think San Francisco. Really just have liked this band since I first learned about them. They kind of have an Americana feel to them. The guitar player's dad used to be in a band called The Call, I think The Call or The Calling. They had a hit that was kind of big in the early 90s called Let the Day Begin. Really hoping that BRMC comes back through. I would love to see them again. If you're not familiar with the band, I suggest you check them out. If I had to pick an album for you to start off with, the one that I started off with was their 3rd album called Howl. But Beat the Devil's Tattoo is another great album if you want to get introduced to BRMC. All right. The 5th challenge was to share an album that debuted in 1969. And I'm going to go with Led Zeppelin. This is their debut album, Led Zeppelin 1. They were originally going to be called the New Yardbirds, and I think it was Keith Moon that made a joke that that name would go over like a lead balloon. So they opted to go with the band name Led Zeppelin. Just so many great tracks on this. Not a bad one on here, in my opinion. My favorite tracks on this are some of the slower ones. Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You and I Can't Quit You, Baby are 2 of my favorites. Just a fantastic album from start to finish. The 6th challenge was to share your favorite album from 1969, and that for me is the Rolling Stones' Let It Bleed. It has my favorite song from the Stones, Give Me Shelter. You've got Midnight Rambler, Monkey Man's another great track off this album, and of course, You Can't Always Get What You Want. So, 1969's The Rolling Stones' Let It Bleed. All right, there was a bonus question in which Mazzy asked us to share an album from 3 of his favorite bands. He didn't tell us what his favorite bands were. If you're subscribed to his channel and you watch his videos, he feels like that you should know who those 3 bands are. First one's obvious. Mazzy's a huge Beatles fan, so I'm going to share Rubber Soul. One of my favorite early Beatles albums. My favorite song on this one is Norwegian Wood, in which George introduced the sitar. Next is Procol Harum. This is the album that was released this past Record Store Day. I wasn't familiar with Procol Harum other than the Whiter Shade of Pale song, and I really like this album. I gotta say, besides Whiter Shade of Pale, I really liked She Wandered Through the Garden Fence and Kaleidoscope, Conquistador. My favorite album or favorite song on side 3 is Good Captain Clack. Great album, great band. Looking forward to picking up other stuff in their catalog. And the last of Mazzy's favorite bands is the Byrds. In fact, this is an album that Mazzy said was one that he feels like everyone should own, and this is the Byrds' greatest hits. That's gonna do it for my, scratch that. I gotta go back. Mazzy said he had to wear a hat. I had a hat ready too. So, I bought this hat because I went to a birthday party for my brothers. They were turning 40 and they were having a birthday party with an 80s theme, and we were supposed to go dress as our favorite 80s artist. I wore this hat with a blonde wig and some sunglasses and went as Tom Petty. So, Norman's favorite bands: the Byrds, Procol Harum, and of course, the Beatles. Mazzy, congratulations on your 500 subscribers. At the time I'm shooting this video, you're like at 580, so you're almost at 600. Well deserved. I really enjoy your channel. You show some great content. I really like your sense of humor. All the best to you and your continued success with YouTube. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Mazzy, I'll post a link down below to his channel. And if you're new to my channel, I invite you to please subscribe and hit that notifications bell so that you can be made aware when I do post new content. And until next time, take care. Thanks.